everyone. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. I'm Steve Kim, and joining us fresh from Costa Rica, Mr. Mario Lopez.
Yes. Pura vida. That's what they say in Costa
very
Rica.
refreshed.
And tan, right?
Yes, you do.
More on that later. It was not a vacation. It was a work trip.
Work
It was
trip.
a work
There wasn't a lot of work
trip.
being done on
But
your
I
Instagram.
like to balance work
Yeah.
and play. You know how I do.
Yeah,
Anyway,
drinking that
speaking of
much
work and
is
play,
work, yes.
that's exactly it. Our player himself,
Yes.
Justin Buffalo Knuckles.
I admit to my vacations.
Yes. We
You
have,
have to. You're on 'em all
so
the time.
much to talk about this past weekend
Yeah, we
from
do.
the city of brotherly love. 2300 Arena. No, it was not EC Dub, but it was ESPN. And the WBC light heavyweight title was on the line. And the nail, Alexander Gavozic, with a TKO in 5. And there's an asterisk with that, with Dudu and Gumbu, damn it, who popped a flat tire. Now, according to Greg Serb, who runs the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, I talked to him this morning. He said, Steve, because there was a lot of reports that it was a cramp, that he sprained an ankle.
People
No.
were just speculating.
Right. It turned out he may have actually ruptured or torn his Achilles.
Now, why don't we have confirmation on that?
Doctor still has to look at him. They got to go through the x-rays. They got to go through that process.
Because you know that right away. Here, wow. So, as you know, coincidentally, I completely tore my Achilles sparring. However, getting to know everything about the Achilles injury, I'm actually shocked to hear that, because in watching that fight, when he got injured, he was going backwards. And Achilles injuries are usually explosive moments when you're going forward. That's exactly what happened to me and basketball players when they're driving to the hoop, what have you. So I'm really surprised to hear that. My God, nothing but sympathy and prayers for him, because I firsthand know the excruciating pain and what a long comeback it is. And the irony is that in that fight, he was having moments, and his awkwardness and jittery sort of motion, I think, was giving his opponent problems. And I'm not saying he was maybe on the way, but he was definitely in the fight. So for those out there that thought he may have just pulled a blame, or there was no excuse, it was 100% legit.
Gavozic, to me, it's interesting. To me, Teddy Atlas has a very, very cerebral approach to him, that they're not going to attack people. You could tell Teddy, as he said, we're piranhas. We're going to take small bites. I thought he'd be more aggressive, given the fact they're not facing Adonis Stevenson, big left-handed puncher.
Right.
Yeah, the movement of Ngumbu really gave Gavozic fits. Now, I thought Gavozic was winning about 4-1, maybe 3-1 if you count the first 4.
Right, but he wasn't out there beating his ass.
No, he wasn't, and that's the thing. It was such an unsatisfying ending.
Right, it really
I'm
was.
actually at the fights at Fantasy Springs that I'm talking about, and all over my timeline, I'm hearing about this bizarre ending, and people are saying, what, this guy didn't drink enough Pedialyte, he should have had more Gatorade. I'm thinking, cramped up? No, but I'm just telling you, Greg Serb said when the doctor looked at him, he said, there's something very wrong, you're out.
Well,
Bottom line.
And like I said, I knew he wasn't faking anything or looking for an easy way out, because I thought he was actually in the fight. He was making it interesting enough, and he wasn't suffering any damage. It was just one of those weird, freaky things. Do you remember when Jameel McCline, I forgot who he knocked out. It doesn't come to mind, or he dropped. But as he got dropped, gosh, who was the opponent? He broke his knee as he was getting dropped. So how random
Michael
is
Grant.
There you go. Michael Grant. That's
Who,
exactly.
by the way, was trained by Teddy Atlas for that fight.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I was
How
there.
crazy is that?
I was there.
Yeah, so do you remember that? So
Yeah, I
how
was
random.
there.
You're getting dropped, but then you break your knee at the same time. So weird things do happen. Oh, but man, Achilles, that's bad.
Speaking of Jameel McCline, when James Toney was scheduled to fight him, I think in 2002 or 3,
He tore his Achilles.
at the wild card, Doug Fisher was there.
Inspired.
And he said you could hear
Inspiring.
it. You
Right.
could hear it.
No, it was.
Pop.
They're loud. That's the same ring. That's
Yeah.
where I tore mine. Sparred you. It sounds like a gunshot. No, it's really, really bad. So it does happen.
Yeah, the co-feature on this night, we had a draw between the Mean Machine, Igis Kavalishkis, and Ray
God bless you.
Robinson. Mario, I have to tell you, sometimes you win in losing, and sometimes you lose in winning. In drawing, I think the Mean Machine lost, because this was supposed to be a showcase to tell everyone, number one, we're getting prepared for a future fight with Terrence Crawford, and that he can handle the style.
Right.
Boy, I don't want to use the word exposed, but that movement, the length, and the athleticism, if you can't handle Ray Robinson,
And
this
that
bud,
sugar.
this bud may not be for you.
Listen, when you have a moniker like Mean Machine, that's already a lot of pressure on how you're expected to look in the ring and expected to deliver. So you either got to work on transitioning that moniker or stepping up and living up to it.
Well, this was more the mediocre machine, and that machine was way too calculating.
Right.
And to me, Ray Robinson was a good gauge. I thought he did win the fight, but I thought it was much too tentative. And when you're facing a southpaw, you can't think too much. You have to go through the front door. You better land lead right hands or left hooks or be busy as you close the gap. None of that happened for Kavalishkas.
Well, that's the thing with these Eastern European fighters. If you start getting a little tricky and come with some offbeat sort of rhythms and approaches, then it's going to really sort of throw them off their game. If you stay traditional and come with a very I don't want to say basic approach, but just a more traditional approach, then I think they have more of a chance of figuring you out. But you start getting cute and nasty in there, then it makes for tougher looks for them.
Yeah, so that was the action from ESPN from Philadelphia, 3,000 miles away. I was ringside for this. I was in the zone in Fantasy Springs Casino, Indio, California. Lightweight phenom Ryan Garcia improves to 18-0, 15 knockouts, stopping Jose Wonderboy Lopez in 2. Look, again, this has been very favorable matchmaking. He's second camp under Eddie Reynoso. What did he prove on this particular night, Mario?
I think he's improving. I think he's getting there, but I think he still has a long way to go. I don't like his chin up.
It's up there.
It's so up there. And we haven't really seen him go up against a guy who can really whack. But that chin up there, I think, needs to be the main focus in this next camp. And they're talking about possibly, because it was quit outing, putting him on the Canelo card was just a couple months away, which I think is smart. But also working on the inside, I think he looks uncomfortable there when pressured.
Claustrophobic is the term I like to use.
Correct.
Yeah.
Those hands are fast. He's got some tools. Those hands are fast. He's got good length. The jab comes out sharp, but the chin is really concerning me. But listen, it was a second fight with Eddie, and I don't think he's digressing. I think he is getting better.
Yeah.
And he did look a little better. Now, he needs to pump those brakes and keep Gervonta Davis or Teofimo Lopez and names like that out of his mouth. I actually spoke with both Eric and
Robert Diaz,
with Eric Gomez, and Oscar about him, and believe me, they're aware. They know.
Well, this is what Ryan Garcia had to say to me and LA Times' Lance Pugmire in the immediate aftermath of this fight, while he came out with the victory, and just some of the things he had to say.
It wasn't tough at all. I just remained focused. And, from last camp, I learned how to be a true professional no matter what's going around me. I wasn't listening to nobody. I knew I was improving in the gym, looking good in the gym. Whatever everybody was saying, I was like, you know what? I got to know. I'm a star now. I'm super. People are going to talk. They're looking for anything to look bad on me. So I'm like, you know what? If I focus on boxing, that's all that matters.
2 fights in with Mr. Eddie Reynoso. How have you gotten better during these months?
My composure, being more comfortable in the ring and the big lights, because I have somebody like Canelo telling me, what it's like. He's been there. So you see I'm getting more comfortable. There's a lot more things I could have done. Like, I know I knocked him out in the second round, but there's some stuff that I feel like I've already learned and I could have already done it.
Is that part of the reason why you want to turn around to May 4th? You want to fight again? And I know Eric just said we will see.
Yeah, we will see. There's a lot of stuff for us to talk about after this fight. I want to fight as early as I can so I can show everybody how much I'm improving. I'm looking crazier, and even in the gym. But it's when somebody's throwing a lot more punches, I'm able to. I was just getting comfortable. The first round you feel the little butterflies. You're trying to get your legs under you a little bit. So I'm like, damn, I want to start moving my waist because I know I could do it.
And you know what the thing is too. We were talking about it after the fight. Okay, 2 rounds, maybe it wasn't the biggest thing in the world, but you were dealing with some distractions.
Yeah.
Leading into this fight. You had the birth of your child. Yeah. You had, you're working
Twitter
with
drama, whatever.
Yeah, Twitter drama, Mayweather, all that stuff. And so
I felt like I couldn't get out of the media, man. Everywhere I went, I was like, dang, they just want to say. I was like, all right, I think this is over with. This came out. I'm like, and you guys are something else. But it's all good. It taught me something about myself that because I never felt like the burn of social media. Like it's always good for me. So this time it was like just all negative. But it's all lies. I mean, social media, they don't know. Not a lot of people know anything about the person they're talking about. But regardless, I showed my character and how I'm able to overcome that.
Ryan, we have 4 champions: Masayuki Ito, Gervonta Davis, Burchelt, and Tevin Farmer. If there was a champion you could face right now, which one would it be?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I could go after Tevin Farmer for sure. I mean, I've seen his last fight. Respect to him. He's a champion. He faced a lot of adversity himself, but I feel like I'm on a different level with my punches, my accuracy than him. I mean, he does do things well, but I feel like he leaves himself open, and it's different when a guy that has velocity and power and speed hits you instead of a guy that's like doesn't have. Like last fight, he got hit, but the guy had no power. Like it wasn't nothing on it. So of course he's gonna be able to come back.
Ryan, I would describe as precocious. You want to go out there and do it last year. Yeah. Like you want to be fast. You want to be on that autobahn. Are you willing to wait? Let's say Eddie Reynoso says, "Son, let's wait 2-3 fights." Are you willing to go through that process?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm enjoying the ride. I'm already. I could have a fight against somebody that's not known and sell it out. I could do a lot of things because I already reached the people outside of boxing. The hardcore boxing fans are going to think whatever they think, but I already got the fan base I need. I could go anywhere.
So, Mario, last year, this young man was so precocious, and I still think he's very ambitious, and he wants to go quick. I like the fact he's now saying, you know what? If the handlers say we're going to lay back a little bit, I'm enjoying the process. I'm willing to learn. And I think that's the most positive thing. I think you got to have a little self-awareness and say, you know what? I'm not ready for the big dogs.
I agree 100%. And it would also show a big sign of maturity. Look, he just had a little girl, and we know all the drama behind him and the baby mama and all that. I love that he's in the camp with Reynoso. I love that Canelo was there as an influence. Yeah. I know he was there at the fight. You couldn't be around someone that knows how to handle fame and also balance hard work and the spotlight and all the things. He's the epitome of a champion in my eyes. Canelo is in the way he's handled it and being so young. The thing about Ryan is he's unlike Pacquiao, at a young age, he's doing many things, right? With the YouTube channel and the modeling and all this stuff. And I just think you need, and Canelo even said it in the ring.
Cart before horse?
Cart before horse, and you need to focus on the fight game. And because none of that other stuff is going to matter if you don't deliver in the ring. Now, Pacquiao didn't start multitasking, and Pacquiao's a phenom and a whole nother level, and it's incredibly special. Pacquiao didn't start being a senator and movie star and singer and all this stuff until later on.
15 years in, at least.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a huge difference. So that concerns me.
That's why I'd put him on May 4th.
That's what I said.
Right now, we're about 5 weeks away.
And it was only a couple rounds.
So this way, you give him about 5 days off.
Right.
See you back in San Diego.
See you back in the gym. Canelo's there, exactly.
When I look at Ryan Garcia, I see a guy with a lot of twitch, a lot of reflexes. But again, I don't know how he catches. And the other thing is, physically, he's starting to fill out.
Right.
Doesn't look that strong. He looks cut and ripped. I think he still gets knocked around the ring. I don't know if he holds that center point really well just yet.
You're exactly right.
And so even when I asked him, like, hey, out of all the 130-pounders, the belt holders that you want to fight, it's interesting. He shifted his focus from the Tank to Tevin Farmer. Now, look, Tevin Farmer.
That's too much for him. That's too much for him right now, too. Exactly.
Kevin is slicker than oil grease, and he's a man. Very thick, very well-built,
Tevin
good
Farmer, Burchelt, Gervonta Davis.
The Judge Ito.
Yeah, they're not.
They're men.
They're men. They're men, and they're all, it's too soon. Too soon. Can't feed steak to a baby.
But looking at that crowd, where I think there was over 3,000, I think every single
But the kid's a star. You're exactly right.
I mean, there's when he came out to that song, I think from Lupe Fiasco, if you say you're a star, whatever. I'm just kind of looking around the arena. I'm thinking to myself, if this thing is developed properly and they cook it and they don't microwave it, I said, one day he's going to be at the Staples Center. I mean, one day he's going to. I think he outgrew. If you allow it to develop.
I think he outgrew the Fantasy Springs already.
Yeah.
I think he can sell out StubHub.
Yeah.
Easy. Now. But you can't. I know people, especially on social media, are clamoring him to face a higher caliber of opponent, but you'll just be doing him a disservice at this point.
In my view, his diet in 2019 needs to still be Gerber's. As Bernard Hopkins told me long ago about young fighters, you don't feed steak to a baby.
Didn't I just say that
And-
30 seconds ago?
And
Am I not here sitting 2 feet from you?
And in my view, I think he's good for boxing. I don't understand the visceral hatred some people have for him. Like, they're just waiting for him to fail, and the memes are going to come. It's going to be the million meme march. You know what people... But my point is, wait a minute. Boxing always has an issue about a new demographic and having a younger audience and creating interest with general fans that otherwise wouldn't care about boxing. So in that respect, Mario, shouldn't we all at least root for Ryan to have some degree of success for the good of boxing?
No, absolutely. Listen, you're always going to have people that are going to tear you down, but I think he doesn't do himself any favors with
No, he doesn't.
with certain shout outs and listen, I don't know if it's a generational thing, but Canelo, I want to go back to Canelo.
Yeah.
He was a young guy at a very young age, never bragged, was never bragged, especially Latinos. Latinos like their fighters and their people just in general. They want you humble.
Yeah.
They want you low key. And they want you respectful. You come with this sort of rapper hip hop mentality and talk, which a lot of young kids do. They don't like that, bro.
Yeah.
They don't like that, and that's going to turn off a lot of people. So if he continues to learn from Canelo and kind of remains, you forget Canelo's so young, but he comes across so much older. So he could learn from him, not just boxing wise, but how he carries himself outside the ring as well.
Yeah, keep this in mind. Ryan Garcia is still just 20 years old. This journey, in a lot of ways, is just beginning. Also on this card, WBO flyweight titles, Angel Tito Acosta, 8-round stoppage over Ganigan Lopez. And I saw some very good young fighters on this card. Danielito Zorrilla, Puerto Rican welterweight, handled by Miguel Cotto. He looked impressive. Frank Espinoza's young featherweight, Joet Gonzalez, put on a very strong effort, winning by a 5th-round knockout.
Good little
And
card.
then also, watch out for this guy at 130. Another name in the mix. Eduardo Rocky Hernandez blows out Ibrahim Klaas in 2 rounds. He is ranked number 1 or 2 in the WBC. I think this guy, Mario, is going to be a player. This is your classic pressure Mexican fighter, and I think he's only 21 years old. He's going to be a factor for a very, very long time. Going to news and notes, there's so much going on in the sport of boxing, but the big story last week, and I went to this card, it was Kubrat Pulev knocking out Bogdan Dinu, but the big news happened afterwards, and you were kind of in Costa Rica as all this happened, but Kubrat Pulev, the heavyweight contender from Bulgaria, was doing a post-fight interview with this girl, Jenny Sushe or
That's
Ravalo,
Yeah.
and then gave her a unwanted kiss.
How do you know it was unwanted?
Well, that's what she's claiming. And we've all seen the video. You've seen the video.
Yes, I'm
and then we
kidding.
thought, okay, whatever. It's unfortunate. And then by Monday, she's throwing a press conference with the one and only Gloria Allred suing for damage.
no.
Okay, so you think that hurts the credibility of the whole case?
Oh man, I mean, I think at this point with Gloria, you guys show up with
Wait,
Gloria.
give her a
Allred.
Joe Biden?
He did a little Joe Biden, did a little Joe Namath,
Okay.
did all
The
the
Susie
Joes.
Colbert, yeah.
Did Adrian Brody to Halle Berry? Remember that
Yeah.
smooch he laid on her when he won the Oscar? So yeah, look, I mean, it's common sense. You just can't be kissing women.
Not now. Not in the Me Too movement.
I don't think you ever really can
Now
just kind of
ever.
go kiss them and just without them.
Can't be Richard Dawson.
Right. Oh,
Can't be
dude.
Richard Dawson.
Can you imagine Richard Dawson with
Oh,
Family Feud for you
man.
youngsters
Ooh,
listening,
geez.
hosting that show? Richard Dawson didn't care if you were 5 or 95.
Yeah.
He still would put it on the lips right there. Old school. I got to do a montage of Richard Dawson and post that. Remind me, Nichols.
But, you know, what I found interesting about this whole situation is now that there's video that came out where she said she was so distressed. This was disgraceful. I couldn't handle it. Well, now there's video of her afterwards, and not only at the Kubrat after party, she's giving lap dances. I mean, look.
See, that's gonna hurt your credibility.
In my view, Mario,
Not that it warrants a kiss, but that's
bro,
just
look,
you know.
the kiss is one thing. You shouldn't have done it, especially nowadays. We should all know better. But when you are suing for emotional distress
Right.
and saying that this thing affected me so badly, huh?
You can't be acting like you're at the seventh veil.
Right, and the way she was dressed. Now, I was there at that event. It's at the Costa Mesa hangar. There was one row of tables, long row for the media that had to be there that was doing deadlines, all of us with laptops. Sitting directly behind me at the beginning of the card was this lady. Never really seen her before. Okay, seen her on Twitter. I think she follows me, whatever. She seems like a nice person. She was there for about the first half hour to 45 minutes. I'm thinking, okay, she's just there to cover a fight. I said, strange that I think she lives in Vegas. Comes out to this one. 30, 40 minutes in, someone from Team Pulev, an older gentleman all dressed in their sweatsuit, walks over, greets her, and then I don't see her the rest of the night.
Oh, so there's a conspiracy coming from Kim
no.
right
I'm not
here.
trying to be Asian Oliver Stone.
Yeah,
I'm just.
I think you are.
I'm just restating the facts.
Ah, okay.
That she was there because she was given special access or permission.
The plot thickens.
Right, so it's not like she was just a random reporter that
Right.
said, "Oh, Mr. Pulev, congratulations."
Did Mr. Pulev try to kiss you?
No. Well, that's a
So this is coming from a place of jealousy.
Pulev has those lips. But anyway, the situation. I think you know who's most upset by this. I know a lot of the females that work on boxing as media members. They don't care what else happened, but this hurts their credibility in their efforts to do a real job. And I think that's the unfortunate part. Boxing's got to be careful who they credential. And the other thing is, if you're a female, be careful how you act, because she's actually taking pictures after the weigh-in where she's hugging the guy or has his arms. Like, come on, act like a pro. Again, I'm not excusing anything that Kubrat Pulev did, but you've got to play your part, especially, and I've told this to Cynthia Conte, a good friend of mine. I said, Cynthia, I'm going to tell you one thing right now. I would hope that never happens to you, but don't even place yourself in a position where someone thinks they're allowed to do it.
That's smart, Dad.
You know,
that's just good advice.
That's what
in
I
life.
do. That's what I do. All right, moving on to news and notes. April 27th on Showtime, Robert Easter will take on Rancis Barthélemy. Also on this card, hard-hitting heavyweight. I can't wait to see him again. Efe Ajagbe.
Oh, yeah.
He will be opening up this broadcast. And then June 8th, we're going to go back to the scene of the crime, the rematch between everyone's favorite gas line worker, Andrew Cancio.
Yes.
He's getting his rematch. Machado has enforced it. That surprises me.
Does it really? Listen, that was a great fight. I think a potential for fight of the year so far. I would say
Fight of the year or story of the year?
Story of the year. I think maybe that's better. I'm sorry.
Because,
You're right.
I mean, was it really Lipinets against Peterson or Kosei Tanaka
You know
had
what?
a really
for
good
as long
fight
as it lasted, I really liked it. And I
Yeah.
think maybe you're right. I think the story did add to it, but it was a pretty entertaining, good fight. You know, the way he rose from the canvas and came back and applied his. I thought it was great, and the energy in the room and everything. Where is it taking place?
It's going to be at, again, Fantasy Springs.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
who do you like in the rematch? Who do you favor right now?
I like Cancio, and I'll tell you why. I don't think Machado should be going back down to 130. He looked like a guy, to me, his ass and his legs were left in the sauna. Now, according to Freddie Roach, and again, he's not making an excuse. He's just saying what happened. For some reason, Machado, who has no other job, no other responsibility, came in 2 weeks late to the wild card for this camp. That's on him, though.
That's not. Maybe he was overlooking.
Yeah.
Cancio, but I really am rooting for another. I don't have any favoritism here, but another great fight. And you know, Cancio, it is a hard worker, and I don't see him.
No complacency with him.
Right, I don't see him. I think he recognizes and appreciates what he has right now. So I think you'll see a very well-prepared Cancio, and I'm sure Machado obviously is not going to take him lightly. That's going to be good.
Yeah, and by the way, today is April Fool's, but on April 2nd, which will be Tuesday, Andrew Cancio is receiving like a key to the city from Blythe, where he's from. So congratulations.
Yeah, he's going to be walking in with some
Chongo
confidence
Cancio.
and swagger.
And Mario, the situation with Gavozic, his fight, the way it ended, was not the most bizarre of the weekend. See what happened to old David Price?
Oh, right. He got bit in the stomach.
Wow, that wasn't nice.
That dude was
Cash Ali.
He was like a pit bull right in the. I've never seen that. And he had a visible
Yeah, he did.
bite mark right on the stomach. That was kind of crazy.
That was interesting. David Price is perpetually the most vulnerable fighter in the world. Now, I'm going to be honest. 6-7 years ago, I thought David Price may have been the heir apparent to the Klitschko's. Big, tall guy, lot of skills, fast hands, power. He, like I said, is like a chandelier. Bright, shiny. Don't drop him. He just has no punch resistance. He had gotten hurt a little bit, but then he had turned things around. Then all of a sudden, Cash Ali does some Greco-Roman stuff, and he takes a bite out of Price.
He's like McGruff.
Yeah, and now if you were the commissioner or the head of the BBBC, how long do you suspend that guy for?
I think a year. I'm gonna tell you
That's
why.
fair. That's fair.
I think a year. You gotta make it known that those sort of antics just aren't accepted. And the thing is you can't say it was an accident. You can't say he was being dirty with me.
No, he
It was a
went down for
retaliation.
seconds. He went down for seconds.
He was like gnawing on him.
Yeah.
He was like, you talk about piranhas earlier. He was like a little baby piranha up there up in his belly. It was the weirdest thing.
Is that the first bite since Tyson in the ring that you know of?
Significant bite.
Yeah.
There might have been a little nibbling
Yeah.
from other guys, but yeah, significant. Yeah, that was it was crazy. The first belly one.
Yeah.
Yes. Mario, next week we are scheduled, and again, we don't know how things are going to work out. We are scheduled to have Bob Arum back in studio.
Oh, I love that.
So we want
And
to.
you're going to let me take him down memory lane a couple more times, because when he starts talking about his talks with Malcolm X and all that, you got to let me go there with him. Don't hurry Bob up. Bob is a treasure of
hurry 'em
wonderful
up.
stories.
You're the one who only has an hour. If we had more time, well, we could let it marinate.
Well, we'll
but
see.
because of that in-studio visit, we want to talk about it this week. Jaime Munguia, not this Saturday, but on April 13th in Monterrey, Mexico, takes on Dennis Hogan. I got to talk to Juan Carlos Torres from Zanfer Promotions about the future of this young Mexican champion and where they go in 2019 and beyond.
Juan Carlos. Juan, when it comes to Jaime Munguia, he's still a very, very young fighter. When do you think he's ready to move up and face maybe some of the other champions at 54?
Well, as you know, this is the mandatory, so we didn't have anywhere else to go. We wanted to have a different fight and then fight Dennis Hogan in September. And as you can see, we already have another date for September. So basically after this one, we want to fight. We wanted to fight either Kell Brook, Jesse Vargas, those type of guys. I think Jesse Vargas is moving up, but he's got a better name than most of the 154s. So I believe Kell Brook is another good name. The reality is that after September, after his next fight, if everything goes correctly, we really are thinking about moving to 160.
And Juan Carlos, do you think at 160 is where he really fights the bigger names? That's where the opportunities and the timing are going to be perfect for everyone involved?
Absolutely. Look, we know Gennady is doing his 2 fights this year, against whoever, and the following, everybody's, believing it's Canelo, right? The trilogy. And after that, I don't know when his next date is, but I mean, who knows? Why not? Why not? Let's do it right away. I mean, let's see how he looks in his comeback fight, and then against Canelo, and that's the fight we're looking for next year.
Do you think, in looking back to last year, was it better that Jaime didn't get to fight Gennady last year? That maybe he wasn't ready. Maybe he will be ready next year, though.
Look, I think whatever I answer is a pure speculation of how the fight could have been.
Right.
What could have happened. But I don't know. I don't think Gennady has had a guy, probably Murray, but a guy that stands still and trains with him. And recently we know that Gennady has been boxing a little bit more, the last Canelo fight, instead of going toe-to-toe. We believe that Canelo is faster than Jaime, but I don't know if he's stronger and has a bigger punch than Jaime. So I don't know. I mean, we took the fight because we thought we could win. So who knows? Obviously, it turned out better because he got more experience out of it. He's much well known. So the next time he fights, it's gonna be a much bigger fight than what would have been the first fight.
Right, Juan. When you look at Jaime, even though he's a world champion, he has a WBO belt. Is it your philosophy and Zanfer's philosophy? Hey, he's still 21 years old. We're gonna treat him like he's a world champion, but he's still a very, very young fighter that needs to learn.
Well, he's 22 now.
Okay.
It doesn't make a big difference, but it depends on the development of each fighter. Look, Juan Manuel Marquez turned pro at 20, and he was probably in his best days at 35. So who knows? Who knows? I mean, Jaime's been a kid that's been fighting all his life in the amateurs. I mean, you can see Lomachenko, he's 32, 33,
right?
And he almost looks like he's at the end of his prime. I think 2-3 years ago he was unstoppable. Right now, who knows? Who he can be beaten by a couple of guys. We wouldn't say that 2 years ago. So with Jaime, I think at 160 in a year or two, I think that's where he's at his best. That's what we think. Who knows? He may give us a surprise and he starts developing faster. You know, there's Canelo. Canelo has been in his prime for so many years. So with Jaime, I think in probably with next year, at the middle of next year, I think he's probably ready. That's why we're thinking about Gennady, you know.
So, Mario, as you look at Jaime Munguia, I think he's only 22 years old, as was pointed out to me by Mr. Torres. My question is this. Do you treat him as a champion or a young fighter that still needs to be developed that just happens to have a belt?
A little bit of both. I think you still put him in certain fights that are going to help his development, but at the same time, the caliber has to be
Respectable. And Hogan is a mandatory. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, so I think that is some good matchmaking right there.
You know, I saw him train on Friday at Johnny Molina's Gladiator Gym.
What's he walking around at?
Well, I mean, here's the thing that still bothers me. He's not going to be at 54 for long because I was about 3 weeks away from his fight when I saw him the last fight, and about 2 weeks now. He's still wearing plastics during all of his training. And then the last time I was there 3 weeks before the fight, they have these little things that look like big phone booths that are portable saunas. He's still going to the sauna after workouts. And Robert Alcazar's trainer said, Steve, this ain't easy. I wish he'd come in sooner because he comes in real heavy. He goes, he can't make 54. And they've admitted they still want Golovkin. They think next year, 2020, they want Golovkin at 160. And what I find interesting about is Alcazar is that he wants this kid to be really boxing, on his toes. I don't think that's his style. I think you got to get him to understand jabbing and spacing. But all that jumping around the ring, I don't know if that's what he really should be.
Can't
it's got to be a happy medium.
Square peg into a round hole, and I'd almost say more early Margarito-esque.
Right.
Pressure.
Know who you are. You can't change a fighter.
Exactly.
You have to evolve a fighter within their style.
Right. Refine them.
Right. So, all right. So let's go to the Ask Mario section of the program. A lot of questions have been asked already. Here's one from A. Flores. Guys, worst decision. Team Mikey thinking they could beat Spence or the Illinois State Attorney clearing Jussie Smollett.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Listen, your boy would have been better off just doing a little time because it's just been relentless getting roasted with either Chris Rock.
Chris Rock got him. Well, he still has it.
He did dipped his toe. He could have really went in.
They flat out said, let's lay off Jussie.
By the way,
Chris
why are you
no.
saying let's lay off? What does that tell you right there?
Well, again, it's the NAACP awards, and then he was up for an award, which I don't even think he showed up for, right?
No, he didn't show up. But there was a big laughter in the audience.
You know what? I will say this on a serious level, and this goes back to Watergate, and it's not obviously that serious. The cover-up is sometimes worse than the crime.
It does seem a little shady, right?
How this process played out, I would love to see someone really delve into it and see why did they suddenly just let him go. Here's one from B. Drews. I think Alfredo Angulo was more must-watch than Jaime Munguia. What do you think? I think you're crazy.
Yeah, I don't agree.
What? Completely disagree. Here's one from Brian Hiding. Will ESPN put Bud or Loma on a primetime ABC show? Mario, I've spoken to Todd DeBuff about a week ago, and I said, Todd, I understand that ABC may be televising some of your fights down the line. Is it part of this deal, and is it still part of the plan? Todd said, yes. I would love to see a primetime ABC show with a Loma or a Bud.
Remember Wide World of Sports back in the day? I remember seeing Sugar Ray Leonard perform on that. That'd be awesome.
Larry Holmes used to be on there. I remember all that stuff. Yeah. Here's one from Jair Martinez, and he has a screenshot of you in colors. He says, can y'all talk about Mario Lopez's small role in this classic movie? Ha ha. Young Mario in his prime. Mario, tell me a funny story from that. Did you hang out with Sean Penn at all? Robert Duvall? Anything?
I did. Both Sean Penn and Robert Duvall. Dennis Hopper directed that. It was funny because they used real 18th Street gang members.
Orale.
And I remember they were letting, all those dudes were real cool. I remember, you want to say a funny story? I didn't want to cut I had my mullet at the time. I didn't want to cut my wig.
Got to keep it real,
so they had to put bobby pins up. That shit's embarrassing, but they had to put bobby pins up. And I wore a hat that was backwards. And that's why I was Felipe's friend. I was supposed to be Felipe, but I was too tall to play Frog's little brother. So played by the late Trinidad Silva. He was a great
rest in
actor.
peace.
So yeah,
Rest
so
in
no,
peace,
that was
homie.
great, man. All that. Hey, you know what? Not just because I was in it, but that movie holds up. That movie
does.
was tight.
Great soundtrack.
Great sound. I am a nightmare walking iced tea.
Long live Ice-T. Here's one from Marco. Canelo is Golden Boy's cash cow. Who else do they have besides Ryan Garcia that they can bank on in the future? I know of a guy. Virgil Ortiz.
That's the only one that comes to mind right now. Here's the thing, though. You can have a great stable of fighters. It's hard to define a star or find a star. So it remains to be seen, but I think he's probably the next best bet at the moment.
Virgil Ortiz is supposed to be on the Canelo Jacobs undercard May 4th. My understanding is he might fight Mauricio Herrera. I'm just like, ugh. I think there's an issue with the weight. I'd rather see him face a more live, young guy with a little bit more in the gas tank. Look, Ryan Garcia is very bankable. I think Virgil Ortiz has a lot of talent. And look, some of these guys like Rocky Hernandez, I think he's a very, very good fighter.
Yeah,
and
they
look,
got a lot of good little blue chip
Daniel
prospects. Yeah.
Zorrilla, he's a Puerto Rican. Those guys matter if they can fight. And I think Joet Gonzalez. So they do have some young talent.
Sure.
But again, you're right. There's a difference between being good and being a star. Also, one last question here. Which of the following fighters has the best chance of rebuilding their legacy after losing, and why? Golovkin, Jermel Charlo, Mikey Garcia, Felix Verdejo, or Kovalev?
I think Golovkin 100% because his loss was controversial.
Mm-hmm. Even though he's 37.
Well, are you talking from a historical perspective and seeing?
I'd go with Garcia because he's still in his prime. And I think that loss to Spence, I think people understand. Look,
Well,
big odds
I
there.
was going to say Golovkin or Garcia. I'm talking about at the moment.
Yeah.
Right. At the moment, Garcia. I'm just curious to see how he looks coming, and where he's going to end up, which weight, and how he looks because that was a physical fight.
And also, one last question: Black Tower Radio, Ryan Garcia versus Tevin Farmer. Who wins?
Not at this point.
Yeah.
Ryan's not ready.
Yeah.
It's Tevin Farmer.
I agree. And look,
Yeah.
that's no knock on either
No,
guy,
no,
but
no,
I think
no.
Tevin Farmer,
Just at
given
this
his
point.
style and his boxing IQ, gives
Correct.
anyone fits. Moving on to Final Flurries. We have so much to talk about. So, Mario, 5-6 days in Costa Rica and you survived? Well, you were just drinking nonstop with Kylie Wong.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is relentless, so trying to keep up with that fool. But you know what? I don't call it a vacation. It's more of a trip because of the...
Here we go.
You got 7 kids, fool. Try anybody that knows has kids. So that's why we were doing that just to kind of stay. But it was
Anyone
very
got a
active.
violin?
It was an
Anyone got a
active
violin?
working
Yeah.
trip.
All right,
We had a
good.
great time. Can I tell you what I love about Costa Rica? The people are great too, and the food is. There's monkeys everywhere running around.
What?
It's the one- you know how you go and
Yeah.
there's pigeons here.
Do they
at the
bother
park?
you at all?
They're just like monkeys, like the monkey that was in like that little monkey in Aladdin. Those Marachun or Marapun.
So they don't
Mapachun.
bother you? They don't...
No, they don't. They'll come right up to you. You could feed them and everything. And then the ants are huge. Like you see those
That's
ant
scary.
lines.
That is
the
scary.
ants are like the size of your pinky.
That is
everything.
scary.
Spiders. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, that's where they did the first Jurassic Park. In
Now, are there
Costa Rica out
places in
there.
Costa Rica that people say, like, don't go here, it's a little dangerous, or...
Well, if there was, they didn't give us a heads up.
Okay.
So we were kind of everywhere, but it was a good tip. Fun
Oh.
trip.
Mario, Final Four, I'm not watching. No Zion, no Kim.
What is ESPN gonna do now? They have no Zion. They have no LeBron.
Well, they're not
They're
doing
gonna
the-
have to actually focus on other people.
Well, that's CBS's problem, but I have to tell you, Coach K is an all-time
No, but
great
Sports
coach.
Center too. All they do
yeah.
is focus on themselves.
They do.
You know what I mean? It's either LeBron or Zion. Now with both of them out, I kind of love it, to be honest with you. Listen, obviously the kid's gonna be all right, but I love Tom H to the Izzo and his
That's
squad.
coaching. That's coaching. I like the fact he gets on his players. That's
Yeah,
old
but
school.
he recruits these kids from like the
Grinders.
inner
They're
city
grinders.
from the Detroit and all that. They didn't get intimidated that went in there, and he's always pulling these upsets. Like, good for him.
You know, look, I'm not Coach Kim, but here's the thing about Krzyzewski. You're an all-time great coach. You can't call a timeout and tell your guards, get the ball to number one. We're going to run it through him. And I'm thinking to myself, you've got him for maybe one more
Yeah,
game.
but dude, they escaped with the victory over Central Florida. Yeah, too.
Right,
so
but-
it wasn't like they were running. You know what I mean? So it wasn't. It was a shocker, yes, but maybe that gave
Look,
Michigan State some confidence.
They're not a deep team. They're not. And the other thing about Zion, he's going to be better in the pros. I'll tell you why.
Dude, the 3 starters are going to go straight in the first round.
Yeah, those other 2 guys.
Dude,
they're-
so
they're guys.
come
They're
on,
kids.
they had no business losing at the end
Look,
of the day.
Barrett and Reddish are guys. Zion is special.
Yeah,
and when
of
he plays
course.
in the NBA with a more open court game, and there's a team that's going to feature him, as he gets better at just facing up and hitting a jumper, he'll be unstoppable.
Who's taking number 1? Who's
Well,
getting
they've
number
got
1?
ping pong balls.
Right. But what are the odds right now?
Well, I think the Knicks have the
Ooh,
most
can
ping
you
pong
imagine?
balls.
Knicks,
Zion.
Cavs, Bulls.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're all in the mix.
And hopefully in 5 years, a Laker. Mario, you go to a lot of Dodger games. Let's get serious here for a second. I have friends that have season tickets that have daughters. They flat out say that if we don't have good tickets, or if sometimes I just give my tickets away, Dodger games, there's been an issue since the McCourts that this thing has turned into Raider Nation a little bit.
Dude, that's the worst. Oh, gosh. Problem is, get all this raza down there. They start drinking too soon, dude. By like the third inning, everyone's tore up. You get mouthy.
No, but
That's
it's
when
only
issue
certain
comes.
sections of the stadium.
Yeah, I know. Those are the sections that start drinking too soon and too much. And then the arguments carry over into the parking lot. Yeah, now this poor guy is with a cracked skull. We don't even know he's going to come through.
He was there with his kids, wasn't he?
Oh, dude. Yeah, so it was just an awful bad look.
I've not been to a Dodger game. I went to one last year with you. We're in the suite. So it was nice and safe, nice and comfortable. Got to eat Dodger dogs while it's, air conditioned. Got to watch a little TV. But there are sections of that stadium, what I've been told, if you're in the lower section between home plate and third and first base, you're good. You're in the suburbs. Start venturing out closer to the foul pole. The higher you get, becomes little Boyle Heights. Boyle Heights.
Cold as ice.
Yeah.
Boyle Heights is nice.
And look, and my friends who all went to Montebello High School, like, they're Mexican. Yeah. They're like, Steve, no. Like, there are certain times, like, you don't go. But look.
I'm going to the Giants game, the biggest rivalry.
All right, don't wear your Barry Bonds jersey, okay? I'm going to warn you right now. But look, you're not even allowed to tailgate at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I know. That's the irony.
So it's not like you're going in there toasted. It's not like a football game.
Oh, but they catch up real quick.
Oh, yes, they do. They do a lot. But don't they stop serving beers after, like, the 6th or 7th inning?
Yeah, so you can drink all the way to the 7th.
Oh.
Dude, what about the game the other night? It was 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
The longest regular. You know what's fun fact? I've went to the shortest Dodger game in history and also the longest.
Were you at the World Series game last year?
Yeah. I was in the shortest game in World Series history that was under 2 hours.
All right.
When the game won, that they won against Houston, and then the one against Boston, game 6, where I was
All right, Commissioner Kim has a new rule. See if you like it. Yes or no. You veto it. You have the veto power. For any baseball games before September that go beyond 12 innings, just play an inning of over the line or do home run derby. You don't need to be playing 18 innings in late March.
I know.
Come on, really?
No, I agree with you, but that's the thing about baseball is that it's supposed to. That's the one
no
team
time
sport.
Limit.
There's no time limit, and it's the most fair if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's not no coin flip. There's no offense goes first.
Everyone gets in at bat.
Everyone gets in at bat.
Mario, over under. When does Conor McGregor come back from his retirement?
Well, it was highly coincidental that those assault charges over in Ireland came up.
Well, those are serious from what I understand.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he could retire right now and live comfortably if he was smart with his money, right? But I don't. First of all, if he comes back and he has that rematch with Khabib, I think the same thing happens. That's a bad look. And you've got some other tough dudes in that division, Tony Ferguson. So he's gonna have it tough if he's gonna want to get a title again.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear a lot of different theories as to why he's going through at least what I think you can describe as a hiatus. But I guess he's still training. He's putting up footage. That doesn't seem like a retired guy to me. Mario, next week you got big plans. You're going to WrestleMania.
Yeah, can you believe that?
I can, yes. You go every year.
Second year in a row now. Yeah, it's become a thing in New York. By the way, it's outside, what do they call Shea Stadium now?
I think it's at MetLife Stadium.
MetLife. That was Shea, right?
No, that's the Giants Stadium. Giants Jets.
Oh, Giants. Oh, was that Giants Jets? Yeah. No, Shea was where the Mets.
Yeah, Shea Stadium is where the
Mets play. But I'm saying WrestleMania is at the Giants and Jets Stadium.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, and that's MetLife. Correct. Okay,
and Shea is now a new stadium called City Life.
That's what I meant. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's at a stadium. Yes. It's so it's outside. It's not warm yet, by the way. But I'm gonna be rocking my old school Andre. The whole fam is going old school. I'm going my Andre the Giant jacket.
Oh,
I got one kid in a Hulkamania shirt, the other one in a Roddy Piper shirt.
Kilt. Oh.
And no. And Mrs. Lopez is going Macho Man Randy Savage.
Ooh,
Aren't you proud of us?
Macho Man.
Oh, yeah. Snap into a Slim Jim.
The third WrestleMania was at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. I remember the Montebello baseball team of ours, our freshman team, we all pitched in. And I think the main event, and let me get this right, it was Andre the Giant against Hulk Hogan, right?
Yes.
and he ended up slamming him.
Yeah, that was here in L.A.
No.
Wasn't it? No. I'm sorry. That was at the yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I got confused with King Kong Bundy.
Right.
King Kong Bundy's was here in L.A.
Yeah, and I was at that one too.
Yes.
And I was at the LA Sports Arena.
Yes.
But I remember the ring walks were so long. They had these big carts that were dressed up as little wrestling rings.
Yeah.
And I still remember when they're driving back after Andre had gotten defeated. Bobby the Brain Heenan's is like on the top rope, like acting like he's so depressed. Bobby was great. Boy,
God, those are great, man. Those are the great characters. This is the first time WrestleMania is going to be headlined, the main event.
Yeah.
Women. Ronda Rousey,
Oh.
Charlotte Flair. So it's the first woman's main event.
So you can call it WrestleMania Title 9. One last thing. Billions. What a season.
Yo, that show is the best show
Wow.
on TV right now. It's so well written. It's so clever.
Chicken Holocaust.
The chicken, the Chicken Man. It's hip. It's cool. It's smart. And the acting is superb. They even gave a Triple G shout out.
On Showtime.
On the
not
on,
HBO.
Yeah, on Showtime.
Showtime.
On the last one. So that was cool. That was cool. I'm glad you caught up.
Yeah, very good. Oh, by the way, my water tastes so good in this mug.
And the 30 knockdown rule mugs?
Yeah, that you can get exclusively, along with other things. We have women's sizes right here. Look at that. Great logo. Not exactly the best shot. But anyway, 3knockdownrule.com.
People are digging the gear. People are digging the gear.
They are. I mean, look, hold on.
Why are you in a karate stance as opposed to a boxing stance?
Well, I am Asian.
Well,
I am
okay,
Asian.
fair
And,
enough.
but let me just hold on. Let me take a sip of water.
Oh, my God.
God, it's good. It has never been better. So, again, if you want to get this mug right here, 3knockdownrule.com. Me and Mario, thank you. He's putting his kids through college,
Much
by the way.
appreciated.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's it for this week's show. And hopefully, if everything works out, the second chapter of Mr. Bob Arum.
I can't wait.
Hey, stop that. That's
can't
mine.
wait.
All right. So anyway, on behalf of Mario Lopez and Justin Buffalo Knuckles, this is Steve Kim saying, until next week, goodbye.